Hello everyone. It is Jackie with Pocket of Preschool, and I am so excited you're here to join me tonight to talk about a very hot topic, teaching letters and sounds, which is basically kind of teaching literacy in a nutshell, right? So what I want you to do is tell me one way that you love teaching letters and sounds. Your favorite game, your favorite strategy. Do you use letter of the week? Do you not use letter of the week? Are you thinking about not doing letter of the week? Transitioning to something new? Tell me kind of where everybody's at on this. I know this is a hot topic, so please just take everything I say with a grain of salt tonight. If you don't completely agree with me, that's okay. That's something that's awesome about teaching. You don't always have to agree. You can find new research and figure new things out, because that's what we're here to do, learn and grow and be better teachers. And I'm trying to do it too. So in a nutshell, I teach letters and sounds without using letter of the week. And I've taught for 12 years. This will be my 13th or 14th year. I don't know. I kind of have stopped counting. But I have never used letter of the week. My admin team, when I taught for the public school, was not a fan of letter of the week. And research tells us that letter of the week is not what's best. It's not best practice anymore. So I know everything comes in waves, so who knows if it'll come back. But I don't think it will. I have actually dived into some research, because I know you guys are always telling me, like, how do I figure these things out? So I actually I read this on my vacation, no more letter of the week, and kind of like the whys, and it has really great resources it used to make this book. So, and I'm gonna use this a little bit tonight when I'm talking. And Fontenay and Pinnell, like, they're a classic, right? They totally know what they're doing when it comes to teaching literacy. So I have used them a lot in my practice, and tonight what I'm going to share with you. And then everything else I went through my library, and everything else I picked up, I looked, and I didn't really see letter of the week in really any of the professional resource books from NACE or everything. I think letter of the week is kind of going away. And we're going to kind of talk about, like, what you can do. So don't freak out if you don't use letter of the week, or you do. We're going to kind of tell you how you can teach letters and sounds without using letter of the week. And somebody says, if you have to miss this tonight, you can always go to my Facebook page and click on videos, and you can always rewatch any video. So if you have to miss it tonight, no worries. You can always watch these again. So if you look in the top of this post, I made some handouts today while I was at Preschool, while my kids were at camp. I made some handouts for you guys, because it's a big topic, and I usually kind of fly by the seat of my pants for Facebook Live, but tonight I made some handouts for you, because letters and sounds is a pretty important topic. So if you go up to the top, you can download those. For your notes, you can use them, you can share them with your admin team. There's just a whole bunch of good stuff in there, and I'm gonna kind of go through them. That way if you want to download them and take notes, or just listen and enjoy. So when we're talking about letters and sounds, it's really our goal for students to not only identify the letters in the sound, not only identify letters, we want them to learn about the sounds they make and how it connects with literacy in general. We want them to learn all those phonological, words tricky for me to say, phonological awareness and phonemic awareness strategies. So we're not just teaching letters and sounds in isolation. We're teaching it in conjunction with all of these other phonological awareness things, strategies, and skills. So I actually wanted to look up the definition of phonological awareness, and I'm just going to read it straight from Fontenay and Pinnell. It says it's a familiarity with words, rhyming words, onsets, rhymes, syllables, and individual sounds, which are phonemes. So we're teaching letters and sounds. We also want to teach all the other things that kind of go with it. Because if you're just teaching a letter in isolation, they're not going to know, like, why it's important, how do we use it, what it means in print. They're just learning just the letter in isolation, and there's no kind of context around that letter. So we want to teach the letter and the sounds along with all those phonological awareness skills and strategies. And just like everything we teach, we want to be very intentional. We want to use best practices. We want to use the standards. And we want to use our data that says where kids are in our classroom and what they already know, and then kind of what they need to know. So we want to use all of those things to kind of guide our teaching, because if they already know a letter, why are we going to waste our time teaching it again? Everybody says, like, when do I teach letters and sounds? And I kind of teach them all day long. If you go on my blog, I have my daily routine. I actually got this idea from, I think it was Miss Willis's kindergarten. I did this before, but I kind of tweaked it a little bit after I saw hers too. So she had her day out, and then she said what she did exactly during each part of the day. So before I saw hers, I actually did this, and because we want to show parents how important literacy is, and I just had how, during each part of our day, how we're teaching literacy skills. And I just kind of made it a little bit more general now. But if you want to go on my blog, you can download this and you can see what I'm doing and kind of what skills we're working on. So I'm kind of teaching it all day long. Like during our arrival routine, we're signing in, we're doing question of the day. So there's lots of letters and sounds and phonemic awareness skills. During table times, or what if you do like morning work tubs, you can do letters and sounds and phonemic awareness skills then. You can do them at snack by having name cards out, by having, if you have like a menu, if you have your routine up, that's another way to use it. During music and movement, you're doing letter games, or letter sound poems, letter songs, all those rhyming, all the nursery rhymes. So you're doing it during music and movement. You're doing it during circle when you're reading those books and you're finding those great read alouds, and you're asking that your students those great questions about the text and about the words the author is using and the text that's in print. During during centers or stations, whatever you call them, you'll have literacy centers out. You'll have letters out, hopefully in all your centers in your classroom. You'll have a print-rich environment. So during center time, they're using letters, they're seeing letters during play. And then during small group time, obviously that's that individualized instruction time when you can really hone in on those individual kiddos and what they need specifically with letters and sounds. So you're basically, when somebody says, when do I teach letters? Like, I'm teaching letters and sounds and phonemic awareness skills all day long. We are noticing letters. We're just noticing names. We're talking about them all day long. Because in preschool and kindergarten, that's what kids are excited about. Like, they're like, like, I don't know if this happens to you, but you'll do a read aloud, or you'll do a message of the day, or you'll do question of the week or something, like, that letter, and totally interrupts everything you're doing. That letter is in my name. And it could be a random letter in the title, not at the beginning. And you're like, oh my gosh, yes, that letter is in your name. And what sound does that letter make? And what are some other words? So you almost stop and you talk about that aha moment for that kiddo. Because when those kiddos start getting excited about letters and sounds, they're noticing them all the time and everywhere, and they're super excited, especially about those that are in their name. So you don't have to do letter of the week and do each one individually. You can be teaching all the letters and all the sounds all the time. And in the handout, there is a link to my daily schedule, which I just showed you. And another thing I want to say before we keep going is that kiddos, like when I say I'm teaching letters and sounds all day, like I'm not doing worksheets, like we're using letter beads and we're using magnet letters. Kiddos need to touch the letters. They need to feel the letters. They need to have a tactile experience with them. So they need to be like feeling that this N is made up of straight lines. They need to be noticing them. So they need to actually be feeling and touching those letters. Okay, turning the page. I know this is a little different than I normally do them. So now, like, what are some strategies I use? So creating a print-rich environment is so important. Because if there is not a print-rich environment at home, it's up to you to provide that at school for the kiddos. Do you focus on word walls? I don't actually have a word wall in my classroom. So you can see behind me, I have a pocket chart, and I I do themed vocabulary. I know some people do word walls. I have a multi-age classroom, so I have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, so I don't have a word wall in my classroom. But I know those are great too, as long as you're using them appropriately, and I'll kind of talk about that in a minute, so just hold that thought. So that's one thing that I am really good at, is creating an amazing environment. And you guys know, like, that's one thing that I love. Now, I'll go through and I'm going to tell you there are certain things with teaching letters and sounds that I need to do better on myself as a teacher in the classroom. So don't think that I'm amazing at all of these things. Like, I'm still growing as a teacher at some of these things too. So don't think that because I'm saying all these strategies that you have to be good at all of them. Like, you can still grow as a teacher in all these areas. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you shouldn't be perfect yet, because we're still growing and we're still learning, and we're still learning new research and new things. So don't be overwhelmed by all of these things. And just so you know, this will probably be a 2-part series, because it'll probably go until next week too. So create a print-rich environment, and that doesn't mean just slapping words up everywhere in the classroom. It means like having them up purposefully. So on your cubbies, you have your students' names. Your centers are labeled with the names. You have, I don't have anything I can grab. Sorry. You have labels on your shelves naming the toy, or the object, so they can help during cleanup, and it helps with organization. There are posters on your wall that have to do with your learning theme or your study, or maybe there's a poster that you made during circle time and that tying up on the wall. So all the print in your classroom is purposeful. It's not just random posters up that become like wallpaper, because it's an article I read forever ago when I first started teaching, and it said, basically, it was from NACCE, and I can't remember it. I'll try and put the link in if I remember, but basically it said, anything that you're not changing in the room and the students aren't using, after a while it becomes wallpaper. So it's something that they don't even notice. So don't waste your time making your walls amazing if the kids aren't using them, if it's not important to the kiddos, because it basically becomes wallpaper and they don't even see it. They just kind of like zone it out. So make sure the print that's in your classroom is purposeful. You have labels on the shelves, and then there's books in every center. There's art books and art. There's building books and blocks. In science, there's science books about whatever science thing you're doing. Obviously in library, though, there will be books in library. But make sure you have books scattered throughout the room that are purposeful. Put writing tools in every center. And when I first started teaching, one thing I did, and everyone loved, is I put these, and I got them from the dollar store, these little crates, and I just got little clipboards, and I just put them in blocks, and I put them in Discovery, and I put them in blocks and Discovery, and Pretend, because those centers don't have paper all the time, so kiddos can write. So I just grabbed some plain paper and some little clipboards for their little hands, and they're like the perfect size, and there is just writing materials in all these centers. So if they want to write, if they have the urge to write, if they want to make a list, if they are playing and they say, oh, I need this and I want to make a list, or I've discovered this about these seashells, and they want to write it down or they want to draw it, it's in there so they can do it. And maybe it'll even like spark their interest in writing. So just having writing tools in every center is huge, because you'll be surprised how many times a kiddo will pick up one of those small clipboards during play and it doesn't look purposeful to you on what they're writing, but if you ask them, it is very purposeful to them and what they're doing. And they wouldn't do it if it wasn't in the center. And then having students' names throughout the room, because students' names are so powerful, and we'll kind of talk about students' names more as we go. So one way is to use that print-rich environment that's purposeful, not just posted up there just for wallpaper. And then another way you can teach letter sounds is read alouds, which is kind of like yeah, we know this, like, oh yeah, you teach letters during circle time. But you want your questions to be purposeful. And when we read a book, there's so many different purposes and objectives we can use when we read a book. Like, you can read a book 5 different times and target 5 different objectives. 5 5 different objectives every time you read. So you could be reading that text for the same thing every day or a week, and you could be reading it for different purposes and hitting different objectives. She asks, do kiddos ever draw instead of write on the clipboards? And they do, especially my 3-year-old, and especially in the fall during back to school. And we all know that drawing, especially for these 3-year-olds and some of the kiddos that are even more immature, that drawing is the first, kind of like the first part of writing, right? The illustrations are just as important as the words. So it's okay that they're drawing pictures because they're developing all those fine motor muscles and all those other great things, but they're also expressing their ideas on paper. And even though they can't make the words yet, and even though they can't, or maybe they don't want to make the words and they don't want to make the letters yet, they're still expressing their ideas on paper, which is the first kind of stage in writing. So, and maybe they're drawing, and maybe you can say, hey, can you write a little bit about kind of your picture or whatever, you know, you can make it more purposeful, a more purposeful question with the kiddo. But hey, can you write a couple words about this amazing seashell that you drew that you saw at the beach, da 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 da, you know. So just kind of use that guided questioning to kind of prompt them to write if they're not right. Or it could be a scribble if it's a 3-year-old, and that is awesome too. Somebody says, do you put crayons and pencils out? So usually next to this, I usually have you know those itty bitty caddies? They're like this big. They're about the same size as this. I usually have that next to it, or maybe I just have like a bucket of markers next to it. So I'll just put these next to each other, or like maybe you can put pencils out. Usually I do use markers because if a kiddo's struggling with fine motor, it'll be easier for them to write with markers on paper. So that way even my kiddos who are struggling with fine motor can still express their ideas on these clipboards. Golf pencils work great, yes. Golf pencils are great, and you can also keep your pencils, colored pencils, and when they get short, just put those out too. Pipsqueak markers, those are short, those are awesome too to help with that pencil grasp. What are the size of the clipboards? I don't know the size, they're just the little ones. So there'll be like big ones in the store, and then there'll be these. And they're usually like $1 a piece, they're super cheap. And I've had mine since I started teaching. And I think I have a whole class set if you like add up all the ones I have scattered in the room. So yeah. So when you're doing those read alouds, like let's say you're here, I'm gonna use this one. So maybe you're reading Ada Goes to the Beach, and you're reading it for all those different purposes. Maybe one day talk about the objects he finds, and make a list of the objects he finds, and talk about the letters and the sounds that those objects start with. It could be something as simple as that, to work on letters and sounds during Circle. But make sure you are taking the time to work on letters and sounds during Circle, as well as, you know, develop all those great story elements and all those sense of story and all of that other good stuff. So just take one day out a week or something and work on letters and sounds during your read aloud. Sorry. Okay. So, and then also this book, this Fontenay and Pinnell Literacy Beginnings, in here, there is a great section on, it's just on all different literacy elements, and it has great read aloud suggestions, and it has very awesome, like this one says, continuums, that's the word I was trying to think about. So it says like, it has a really great section on like the different continuums and ideas for read alouds if you need that. Those are great in here. And I got that off Amazon too, by the way. And I can put the link up afterwards. I forgot. So, all right. So, print-rich environment, read alouds, and then another thing is message of the day. Or maybe you do message of the day, morning message, kind of whatever you call it. I know most teachers do some kind of shared writing, or maybe it's already up there when the kiddos come, but that is an awesome, awesome time to work on letters and sounds. And all those other phonemic awareness things too. So like whether it's already up and you guys read the message together, and maybe you're pointing each word. Maybe you have dots under the word. I know some people use lines, but whatever you're using to point and isolate, oh my gosh, I can't even think. Sorry guys, I have a little bit of a summer brain. The one-to-one correspondence is you read like good morning class. So that one-to-one correspondence with the word, whether you're using dots or lines, whatever you're using, or maybe you're having a kiddo read it with a pointer, something to help them do the one-to-one correspondence with one word to one as you say it out loud. Notice the letters and the sounds. Notice the long words. Notice the short words. Notice all those different things about words. But talk about like, oh look, this word starts with a B. B makes the B sound. And one thing I have read and heard from a lot of literacy coaches is when you say B, make sure you don't put that A after it. So it's kind of hard, but once you train yourself not to, it's a little bit, you'll notice that a lot of the letter sound songs have the ba instead of B, it's ba. A lot of the songs will say it. So when you're saying these things, saying these letter sounds, make sure it's just the letter and don't add that A on the end. And when you're doing letters and working on sounds, instead of going like B, ball, it's B, all. So just say that initial sound once, because sometimes what kiddos will do is when they're sounding out a word, they'll go B, ball, and they'll go B, L. So they'll write it just like we say it was for B, ball. So just go B, all. And just break up the word, but still have that initial sound at the beginning. So I forgot to tell you guys that at the beginning when I started. So, but those are great things to talk about during message today. Oh look, ball has a B at the beginning. It makes the B sound. Do you see any other B's in our message? And maybe you have kiddos come up and you circle the B's, or maybe you skywrite the B's or something like that. But just do lots of notice the letters and get excited about the letters. And I know all the books I've read, I haven't really read anything that says like what order is better. And I don't think there's really any research behind an order to teach the letters. And I usually do the order we usually talk about what kiddos are excited about most, their name. So, if we, Taryn, so we talk about T's a lot. Austin will notice A's a lot. So we use those beginning, usually the letters we focus on first are the first sounds in everyone's name in the class, because those are the letters they're excited about, and those are the letters they notice too. So those are the letters that we're going to be talking about as well. So those are the letters you'll notice first in the message of the day. But I haven't found out in any research really that says what order is kind of better over another one. If you have found out something in research that says kind of the order is better, pop it on in the comments. But there's a quote from the book. Let me see if I can find it. It says the pattern for learning the alphabet varies from child to child, but how children learn the letter names and sounds is neither random nor completely idiosyncratic. There are patterns to this we can use to plan our instruction. And and that is a quote from the No More Letter of the Week book, which I dropped, I think. Yeah. So I think what it's saying is that kiddos learn kind of what they notice the most, what letters they see the most. So those common letters, they're going to learn those first. And it's different for every kiddo, because guess what? Every kiddo's name is different. And every kiddo's family's names are different. So I think that's kind of what this book is saying. So yeah, but that book, if you want a great read, this one is awesome. And it's an easy read. Like I read it on the plane, like on the way home from Florida. Super, super quick. As I knock all the stuff over behind me, because as always, I'm surrounded by stuff for Facebook Live. Okay, so we do morning message, great time to teach letters and sounds. Read alouds, create a great classroom environment with lots of rich, purposeful print, and then shared or interactive writing. So if you, on my handouts, there is a link to all my Facebook videos. And there is a video on circle time. And if you click that video, you'll see I show a lot of the charts, we make and the graphs we make at Circle. So if you want to see my charts, go ahead and go there. But you doing a lot of shared or interactive writing on charts, on graphs. Whether you're doing morning message, that can be interactive writing if you're saying it, or maybe you're having a kiddo add a sentence to the message and then you're writing it. That's a lot of shared interactive writing. You want kiddos to see you writing, and you want to be modeling all those letters and sounds and sounding out the words as you write, because that's the perfect time to model all those things, because you're already doing it. So just take a couple minutes and just think out loud, because if you're thinking out loud, then the kiddos will start to think out loud just like you do, and because you're modeling it. Like if you're sounding out the word blocks, you can be like, oh, I need to write the word blocks. Can you guys help me? What do you think blocks starts with? Oh, B. Oh, great. When I make my B, I make my line down with a big bump and a big bumper, however you say you make the B. I a lot of times talk out loud on how I make the letters as well as doing the letters and the sounds, just to help with handwriting. Do shared writing, do interactive writing, share the pen, have the kiddos come up and help you write. And it doesn't have to be during circle. Like maybe during snack, the kiddos decide, oh, we want to do this on the playground. And they decide they want to do teams or something. Oh, say, okay, I'll get a pen. Let me write down who wants to be on whose team or whatever. Or when we got our pet fish, I told them they helped me make a shopping list of all the things we needed to get for the fish, so he can have a healthy, happy environment in our classroom, like a fish tank and gravel and water and things like that. So you don't have to write during circle. You can write at snack when it comes up in the classroom. Oh, you really wanted to go first? Oh, can you write that down for me? Or here, let's write it down. Help me write it down a note, so that way I'll remember tomorrow that you want to go first. So it doesn't have to be during circle. It can be one-on-one with a kiddo. But if they see you writing and you're sounding out, and it could be like one letter. You don't have to sound out everything every single time, because otherwise that would take forever, right? But sounding out that one letter with that kiddo, it's just one extra time that they hear that sound, and that could be the time they remember it. You just don't know. So, parent environment, read alouds, morning message, shared writing, and then writing tools and manipulatives all over the classroom. What I mean by that is, think of your classroom. Make a list of all like the centers or places in your classroom. And then make a list of all the letter manipulatives and writing tools you have in all those centers. And be honest with yourself. Do you have a lot? Or do you not have a lot? Or do you have a little bit? Or maybe do you have you're great and then you have nothing in blocks? So go through your center and make a list of all the places in your classroom. And don't forget the playground, because that's an important place too, or the sandbox. Make a list and think about all the different things you could add to those centers to add literacy and to add letters, so they can be working on letters and sounds and all those other places, because kiddos need to feel and touch those letters all the time, and they need to see them, because the more they see them, the more they'll remember them. And once they have that in their memory, then they can put that name with the letter sound, and it'll all come together in their brain so magically. So in art, what could you do in art? You could do letter cookie cutters with the Play-Doh, right? Or you could do, sometimes I put out letter stamps, or you could put out letter stencils, and I don't have all this out all the time, and I switch all my stuff out randomly throughout the year as kiddos get bored, as they need something new. You can put out collage letters. You can put out letter stickers. You know they go crazy for letter stickers. You can put out foam letters. So put out letter stuff in the art center. Maybe not the typical things you would think of. You know, we always think of like letter stamps and the letter sponges, but try putting out letters with the Play-Doh. Just put out, and you don't have to always, and I'll say this, you don't always have to put out every single letter. You can just put out, especially if you have a 3-year-old class, maybe just put out the letters that are in everybody's name. Just that first letter of everybody's name in your classroom. Just put those in the letter tub. It doesn't have to be all the letters. When we play letter games in my classroom, a lot of times I don't put out all the letters because that's overwhelming. And I know there's a big, people wonder, do you teach capitals? Do you teach lowercase? What do you do? And we'll talk about that a little bit more when I do names, but I always usually start with capital letters, and then once we learn a lot of those capital letters, I transition to lowercase because, and this is just me, and I know I'm totally getting off topic right now, but that's okay. Sometimes that's what happens, right? Like if you are a little kid, let's say you're 3, you're 36 months old. Just think about how little that is. They're 36 months old, and you put out letter manipulatives, and you put out all the uppercase and all the lowercase. How many is that? What, 26 plus 26 is 52? So you're putting out 52 symbols. So imagine putting out 52 symbols from another language that you're not familiar with. Do you think you're gonna learn those quick? Probably not, because they all kind of look the same, and we know a lot of our letters in the English language, a lot of them look the same, they look similar. So just think about that when you're deciding if you want to do lowercase or uppercase. So that's why I just start with uppercase, because then and I usually just start with the letters and their kiddos' names, like I said. We kind of work on those first. But think about that before you put out all the uppercase and all the lowercase, especially if you have 3-year-olds. Okay, so enough on that little tangent. So putting writing tools in every center. So you have, let's say you put out some cookie cutters in art, and you don't have to have everything in there all the time. Just kind of make sure you have something all the time in the art center that they can work on letters and sounds. In the block center, maybe, and this is all in the handout too, if I'm talking too fast or if me going on side notes is driving you crazy, sorry. Like I said, I have a little bit of a summer brain. Like in the block center, put out signs, put out sign making materials. If they're making a lot of signs and they're making roads, put out signs. See what they're doing during play and say, how can you add to that? Add literacy to that. They're making roads. Great. Let's put out some signs. Let's put out some sign making material. And when I say sign making material, I put out index cards. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be something that they think is the sign. I put out index cards, super simple with toothpicks, or not toothpicks, what is that called? A popsicle stick, or those matchsticks, and you can even put them in pool noodles, so they'll stand up. Just cut the pool noodle in half, and then they'll stand up in the block center. You can put out blueprints, which I have as a freebie on my How to Set Up Your Blocks Center post on my blog, so you can grab that for free. And you can just put out community signs. Actually, in my community helpers post on my blog, I have free signs you can print for your block center. So put those in the block center, because now, you're building Target? Great. Let's find the Target sign, or let's make a Target sign. Oh, Target. What do you think Target starts with? Target. Oh, T? Great. Let's make a big T. And that could be the Target sign, and they can draw the bullseyes. And pretend, put out, if you have my dramatic play, any of my dramatic play sets, those are loaded with literacy things. Like put out, if you're doing grocery store, put out shopping lists. Put out receipt paper at the cashier stand so they can write a receipt. Have them make coupons, and they can have coupons in the store. And I mean, a grocery store, that's covered in environmental print to begin with. So just when you're playing with them, say, I want the Fruit Loops cereal. Oh, look, Fruit Loops. I know those are the Fruit Loops. I'm going to put those in my cart. So just notice those letters during play. Sorry, reading another comment. So just notice those letters during play and put out, you'll be surprised if you put out order forms or receipt paper or shopping list. You'll be surprised how often they use it. During play, especially if you maybe you save, let's say nobody's writing the shopping list or nobody's making receipts. One, you can go in there and you can model it and then make it super exciting, or you can save one that somebody did and then show it at Circle and be like, oh my gosh, look at, I just wanted to show you guys, you know, Barb's shopping list that she did today in the grocery store. Oh, do you want to put this in your portfolio? Oh, okay, just make a big deal about it, and then other kids will get excited about it too. You know, and in the library center, like behind me, you know, have blank books out. This is something I have hold on one second. I'm gonna get them a little organized, and then I'll show you these, my name cards. So in the handout, and they are name cards with pictures. And this is my amazing assistant, Miss Jenny. And I do lowercase on one side, and look, flip it over, and it's uppercase on the other side. So you can have them both. And I make these at the beginning of the year, and I make them uppercase and lowercase. And I make like 4 sets because we use them all the time. The kiddos use them all the time. I have some in art. That way, if they want to write their name on their paper, they can come grab one. Sometimes I put them in pretend. Sometimes I put them in blocks. If they're doing something where they're writing their friend's name a lot. We use them during journals, and they can use it to write their name, or they can use it to write their friend's name. All of hers on one sheet, so you can do that too. Make a big list of everybody's name on one page. That's an awesome idea too to put out in your centers or in notebooks, especially if you're a kinder teacher, and they have like a writing folder and you have like the alphabet chart. Put a list of all the friends' names in there, and they can write each other letters, because they will write a lot more, and they'll make pictures for other people more if it's for a friend, because they love their friends. And don't forget to put the teachers in there too, because they want to write your name just as much as they want to write their friends' names, because they love you guys so much, and you guys are awesome. Yeah, and so these are actually an editable PowerPoint. You just type it in, plop the picture in, and you're ready to go. And like I said, and then how I do the uppercase on one side and lowercase on the other, I print them out, and then I glue them together. Glue the uppercase, and I glue the lowercase together, and then I laminate it like that. That's why it has like a pretty little border. So yeah, I show you some of the other ones, but those are the kiddos I had in my class. but yeah, and then you can just put them in a bucket, and they'll use them like crazy. And you can use them, they're great if you like need to pick things too. Like you can have some at circle, and you can say, okay, let's see who gets to, first one to go to the bathroom is Miss Jackie. And then, you know, you can call them like that. And you can also do like a mystery and say, who do you think this is? And cover up the picture, and they have to guess. So that's fun too. You can use these for question of the day, if you do use question of the day in your class too. But yeah, those name tags are great for so many things. And you can put them in, don't just put them in the library center, put them in other centers too. The writing center, that's a really great place to work on letters, right? Writing center, so you wanna make your writing center awesome, and you wanna fill it with letter manipulatives, all different kinds. Maybe you want sound buckets in there. These are from Lakeshore. You can make your own too. You can put out sound magnets. These are from Amazon. And like I said, you don't always have to put out all of them. You can just put out some of them. You can, in your library center, you can put out all the different letter manipulatives. But your writing table is super important, because you want to inspire your little writers to write. And when they're writing those letters, and hopefully they're sitting next to a peer and they're talking about those letters, especially if they're sitting next to maybe an older peer who is writing at a little bit higher level. So make your writing center, mate. I'm just gonna like back up. So this is usually my writing center. Ignore all the stuff on the bottom, but I always have a pocket chart, and I do themed vocabulary words. And I do uppercase, and I usually have the, like, oh, here it is. The lowercase I usually have on the table, because honestly, my pre-K kiddos are the ones that use these the most, and I want them to use lowercase. So I kind of just have them on the table kind of scattered, because they're a lot easier to pick up and move. And they can always take these out and do whatever with them. And then I usually have themed paper, and then I have letter charts, which are in my journal pack on TPT. And then I have these family word cards. And I have event word cards. And these are always in there because let's say it's Dad's birthday or it's Halloween and or 4 months later they want to make a Halloween card. Well, you have the Happy Halloween in here. Or you have Happy Birthday in here because they all want to make birthday cards for their moms and their dads or whoever it is. And you know they always say that they have birthdays all the time. And then there's family writing cards. There's like mom and dad and brother and sister and all of those. So these I always have in my writing center. And these, if you get my newsletter, or you can sign up for it at the top of this post, you can sign up to get my weekly newsletter. These are always a link at the bottom of my newsletter for free, and they're in the Facebook files, the Facebook group files. So go to the Facebook group, click on files, and these are in there. And once kiddos know that these event cards are there and these word cards are there, and how they know they're there is you get them out and you use them when they need them. So they're writing a card to mom or dad. You say, oh, you want to know how to write mom? Oh, it's right here. Let's find it. And then you help them find it. And then that next time, or maybe you'll show them another time, then they'll know where it is and they kind of know where to find it. Somebody asked, what is themed writing paper? So like right now I have it set up for summer. Like I just have summer writing paper. And in all of my Teachers Pay Teachers, you can find all of my themed math and literacy centers, and in every math and literacy center is a writing center. So there's writing cards and themed writing paper, and there's different kinds of writing paper. There's half sheet, full sheet, and kinds with lines at the bottom if you're kinder. So yeah. So these are perfect for the how do you spell. These are perfect for that. How do you spell mom? How do you spell dad? These are perfect for that. And then you can always put in blank books. Those are perfect in there. In the writing center too. And I usually have stickers sometimes. Sometimes I put out pens. So mix up the writing tools. Don't have it be the same thing all year. Kiddos get really, really excited about pens. So sometimes I put in colored pens. Somebody said, at what point do you encourage them to sound it out themselves? It's more based on a confidence level for me. If they are sounding it out independently already, or maybe you can see they're a little hesitant, I'll say, hey, let's sound it out together. I kind of wait for them to kind of take the first step on that, unless I know they're a confident kiddo. But I don't want them to be frustrated or scared, because sounding out a word is hard. It's super, super hard, especially when they're used to just writing random scribbles or random letters, and they go to actually stop and sound out a word. It's super, super hard. So I kind of wait and let them take the lead. We can do it together. Maybe I'll say, hey, can you whisper the first sound do you think it makes? And then we'll kind of do it that way. So I kind of base it on kind of where they are, how confident they are, and if they're ready. And somebody said developmentally appropriate, I think. And that's usually that pre-K year. I kind of want them to start trying it themselves, trying to start sounding out this stuff themselves. What age group is this appropriate for? So I have a multi-age preschool, so I have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, so it's great for them. Great for 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and kinder. So yeah. Except 3-year-olds, you're gonna definitely do it on the lowest level that I'm talking about, so yeah. All right, so another thing, so you got the print-rich environment, you're doing read aloud, you're doing message of the day, you're doing all that interactive writing, doing charts and lists and things like that. You got letters and sound stuff in every center, and you got an amazing writing center set up. This is my weakness, I will tell you this right now. Doing predictable charts and poems during circle and then having it up in the center for them to do independently. I will say, if you want to learn more about that, my friend, Miss Jamie from Play to Learn Preschool is amazing at this, and so is my friend Miss Tammy at the Resourceful Apple. They both do a lot of predictable charts and poems, and that's actually something I want to get better at too. I know Kindergarten Smorgasbord. He does a lot of that in his classroom. So you guys can check out those vlogs for help, because you won't find any on mine, because that's my weakness. So go to those resources for those. But those predictable charts and poems, you're tracking, doing that one-to-one correspondence with one word as you say it. But they do the tracking, and you can circle letters. If you have it in a pocket chart, you can use that clear. You don't want to have them obviously circling your poem if it's in a pocket chart, but use those colored transparencies and just like cut them in squares or like letter size, and they can highlight the letters in the pocket chart, or maybe put it in front of the whole word. So that way they're not coloring on your poem. Or maybe you laminate the whole thing and you are letting them circle it with dry erase markers. It's totally up to you. But predictable charts and poems are awesome, awesome, awesome for talking about letters and sounds and really sounding out. And then obviously during music and movement, you want to do lots of poems. You want to do lots of songs, lots of rhyming songs, lots of chants. During music. And I love Dr. Jean. She's awesome. She has a lot of great letters and sound and rhyme songs. I know you can go on YouTube and you can find a whole bunch, and then a lot of those have actions with them. Who else? Jim Gill has a lot of fun ones. Greg and Steve are really awesome. I'm totally old school, and I have all their CDs, so I use a lot of the CDs still. I need to make digital copies for myself, but I love my CDs, so I use those a lot. And for some kiddos, that music is it's just how they learn. So make sure you are doing letter songs and sound songs and all those rhyme and repetition, clapping, all of that, all the beat things helps when they clap out the syllables. So yeah, letters and sounds during music and movement. And then you want to eat up every little second of the day you can. So do literacy and letter games during transitions. And I have a whole video on transitions and ideas for them. If you go to my video, go open the handout, download the handout, and click on the transitions, and you can know all about my letter transitions that I do. But it can be something as simple as pick a letter beat out and tell me the name of the letter and the sound it makes. It can be something that simple. You can make a giant, like let's say Sally is really excited about the letter S this week, so make a giant S on the whiteboard, and as everybody takes a turn, and call everybody up one at a time, and everybody trace that giant S on the whiteboard, and then they can go transition to the next activity or go to the bathroom or whatever it is. So use, those times when all the kids are in line to go outside and 6 people have to go to the bathroom. Use those times when you're standing in line to do letter songs, letter games. Use all those little transition times, because when you use all those times, all those itty bitty times, those little itty bitty minutes, you might think it's just 1-2 minutes here or there, but think about it. 3 minutes a day you're using as a transition all week. That's another 15 minutes a week you're getting. Times that by a month, you're getting an extra hour of literacy instruction a month if you're using one transition time. So use up those little transitions. So to recap, don't be scared if you don't want to do letter of the week. It's okay. Research is telling us it's not best practice anymore. And if you do use letter of the week, you might do it really awesome and it might work for you. But try some of these things out. See how they work for you. Don't be scared. You can still do your letter of the week, but maybe try some of these other things too. And maybe you'll find you'll like these better, or maybe you want to stick with your old way. It's up to you. I just want to do some quotes from the book that I thought were amazing. So again, I'm quoting, and it's a really awesome read. Grab it on Amazon if you are thinking about not doing letter of the week, you're on the fence. It's an awesome book. And actually, you guys suggested this to me. So thank you to all the teachers who have been shouting this out in the Facebook group, because it is an awesome read. And I wouldn't have known it if it weren't for you guys. So awesome. So some powerful quotes I got from the book. So it's kind of like a mini book study tonight too. It says, students need repeated, varied exposure and practice with each individual letter over time, not all in 1 week. So if you're doing 1 week just on P, they might forget it in 2 weeks because now you're on X. So if you're doing all of these great strategies that we all know are best practice for teaching letters, they're going to learn P on Monday a little bit, and maybe 5 days later you're talking about P during journal time, and maybe 10 days later you're talking about P during some shared reading or some shared writing you're doing. So you're kind of sprinkling in all the letter knowledge rather than just blurting it in 1 week. So you're spiraling that learning. You're going to touch it, learn it once, talk about it once, then you're going to come back to it, talk about it again, come back to it, because that's how we learn, right? So the more times we hear it, the more times it'll click. Or hopefully sometime it'll click in there. Children who do not have literacy-rich homes or communities depend on their school experiences to develop the literacy skills needed for school success. Research clearly indicates that an approach that is intentional and systematic teaches them letter names and sounds has significantly better results than one approaches learning the alphabet indirectly. So if you're just kind of doing it here and there, there's no really system, they might not learn the letters and sounds. So just be intentional, and we're gonna do a lot more specific strategies next week that you can use at small group, during centers, during table time. That's a lot of what we're going to dive into next week, all those instructional kind of letter techniques. That's kind of what we're diving into next week. And if you want to know what we're diving into next week, you can download the handout because you can read the next page because this is what we're going to talk about next week. So if you're really excited and you want to keep going, you can just download the handout and you can read it on the next page. And I might even add more to it. I don't know. I did try and, in the handout, I did try and hyperlink some things to my blog. But what I noticed was I don't have a lot of blog posts on these specific techniques. So what I will try and do, and honestly, like I said, some of these different strategies have videos. We can honestly talk for an hour about each one of these strategies. Like they're huge. You can read entire books on some of these. So I will try to this year do more blog posts on these specific ones. But what I will say is kind of a lot of the stuff we're talking about next week. I do a lot of my literacy instruction. I approach it when I do themes. So in the handout up here, if you click on any of my themes, you're going to see tons of ways that I teach letters and sounds during each theme. So you can download or click on each theme, and I teach each theme. All right, that's when I teach my letters and sounds. I do it with my themes. I don't really do it like, oh, that's why you won't see a lot of it. Sorry. It's wanting to do an update. No. Do not update right now. Okay, sorry guys. That's why you won't see a lot of like alphabet activities in my store, because I do all of it integrated into my theme. So when I do dinosaurs, I'm doing letters and sounds when I do dinosaurs. When I'm doing farm, I'm doing letters and sounds through my farm theme. So I do a lot of my letters and sound activities through during my theme. So that's why you don't see a lot of alphabet activities in my TBT store. But where my letter and sound activities are in my TBT store are in all of my themed center packs. And they all have writing centers, and they all have letter games and sound games, and a lot of them have handwriting or like letter formation activities too. So you can find those in my TBT store. So I just wanted to tell you kind of why I don't have like giant alphabet packs or anything like that. So yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of leave it tonight. If you guys have questions, please drop them in the comments so I can I'll pop in a little bit later, and I'll try and kind of answer them. Oh, somebody said cute fonts on the handout. I know, these are my fonts I love. You guys, I'm like font obsessed. They make handouts so much more fun. So yeah, so sorry if tonight was a little bit different. I know it was a little bit more scripted. Usually I fly by the seat of my pants and kind of just walk around the room and just kind of talk. But teaching letters and sounds is a little bit, it's just a bigger topic, and I just wanted to make sure I said certain things and I had research to back up kind of what I was saying, because I know it's kind of a hot topic, not doing letter of the week, doing letter of the week, all of that good stuff. So I just wanted to give you guys some research, especially if you want to go to your director or you want to share this with your principal or your admin team. I know they always say, hey, where's the research? Well, I got it for you tonight. And I did put those in the handouts, just the couple that I use. And the strategies, just so you know, those are just general teaching strategies. I didn't really get those out of one book. You can really look in any quality literacy book or literacy like NACE resource, and you can usually find the strategies I shared. So I didn't cite anyone because they're usually in almost all quality literacy research book. So yeah. Alrighty. I can put the handouts in the group too. Yes. So, okay. Sorry, just reading a one. Okay. All right. So, and if you guys want to keep talking about this topic, or you want to maybe start a conversation, or you have a question, hop over to the Facebook group, pop it in, ask it over there, and we can kind of keep going. At night, Facebook each other back and forth while we're, chilling on the couch, watching TV, digressing for the night. So you guys have a great night. Have an awesome, amazing night. Have a fabulous night, and talk to you soon.